So the Patriot Awards are here tonight, and that's going to be a big theme. We're going to salute America. Can you get that concept across? And before we get to the guys, let's get to the big three.
Number 3.
If it doesn't go the way that President Trump wants, he loses a lot of the flexibility that we believe Congress granted him to deal with these emergencies we're facing, right, of the trade deficit, the loss of manufacturing, et cetera.
Tariffs in trouble. Perhaps we are trying to read too much between the lines as the Supreme Court pokes and prods both sides. If it is struck down, all sides agree with one thing. It'll be pure global chaos.
Number 2.
And now, because my Republican colleagues refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, we know that for tens of millions of Americans who are now in the open enrollment period, they are experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles.
The most boring man in America, Hakeem Jeffries, and also telling an untruth. Shutdown not over yet as moderate Dems get stopped on their way to end it all. What will it take to end this standoff, and how the media shows once again they're committed to selling the Democrat story?
Number 1.
On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
The GOP's offbeat, off-year elections. The left has a reason to celebrate for now, but how long as the divide emerges between the Bernie bros and the liberals on the left, and what the GOP takeaway should be from their terrible Tuesday. Keep in mind with the Patriot Awards tonight, Sean Hannity's going to be hosting. Jason Aldean's going to be here. His lovely wife Brittany's going to be here. Melania Trump is going to be getting an award, and there's got a lot of surprises. Josh and Smug, welcome.
Hey, thanks
official.
for having me. Good to be here.
First off, on the civil war that's already happening on the left, and I'll play some clips. I mean, Chuck Schumer yesterday was supposed to do a press conference. He's late. Bernie's in the audience. Why? And instead, he says, well, what do you think? The reporters start questioning him. And he said, they go, why don't you go ask us a few questions? And he hopped behind the microphone. And he starts saying, everybody knows nobody wanted Mandami to win, and the establishment didn't want Mandami to win, and they didn't want me to win. And wow, this is an open family fight.
It couldn't happen to a better group of people from my perspective.
But you're not surprised.
I'm not surprised. I mean, look, Chuck Schumer's been trying to avoid this entire discussion basically all year. I mean, the reason that the government is shut down in addition to election shenanigans is because Chuck Schumer is deathly afraid of AOC, New York Democrats who've just chosen Mamdani. He thinks he's not only going to lose his job as minority leader in the Senate, but maybe his job altogether as a senator as a result of all of that. So he's just been running scared from the very beginning. I think Bernie and everybody else know it.
Smug?
Well, that's the thing is the whole reason that Chuck Schumer's in this tough spot is AOC is going to primary him. He's terrified of that. She's been fundraising like nobody's business, and they've shown that the grassroots of that party is energized behind communism. It's just straight up communism.
Right.
And I don't think Chuck is. Governor Shapiro probably isn't. Governor Beshear probably isn't. But they feel disrespected because Bernie had that nomination twice.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's revealed that Hillary took it one time, and then they sidelined everybody else and put Biden in there the next time.
Yeah.
But now he's too old this time, but he's angry.
He is angry. And honestly, he has a right to be at some level. I mean, they've done more at the top of the Democratic Party to try to set look, we had a primary without a primary. The Democratic voters didn't even get to choose last time around who
they haven't chosen since Obama and Hillary.
Right, since 2008. I mean, they've just been moving cards around on the table to try to set, the will of the voters. And at some point, that boils over.
By the way, this just in, not that much of a surprise, but the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, will not seek re-election.
Yeah, primary there, too, by the way.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the factors. I think if nobody was running against her, she probably would just continue in perpetuity, but she's not at a point where she can run a serious election from the left.
Or Smug, she smashed her hip overseas, and at her age, even though she's in good shape, that makes it probably brutal to go 3,000 miles every other day.
But also at the same time, they did not wait for her to say this announcement that she's not going to run. She got a primary challenge. Scott Wiener jumped in there and said, I am running. And she's this created title of Speaker Woman Emeritus.
Yeah.
She's making up a title. They know they don't have their hands on the reins anymore. It's AOC.
It really is indicative of that larger thing that we were talking about. I mean, she's on basically the liberal Democrat Mount Rushmore for her career, and they didn't even have the courtesy.
She got pushed out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you lived it, you with Mitch McConnell at the time, but the only reason Obamacare passed, Obama had thrown in the towel. She said, no, simple majority, we can do it, jam it down their throats, and it passed. And it destroyed Obama's rest of his 4 years, and he got trashed in the midterms, and we're still trying to bail out that health care plan.
Yep.
That's what this is still over.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you get, that clip that you played of Hakeem Jeffries is a perfect example of why Americans are paying so much for their health care. I mean, this guy has no concept of a market-based health insurance system. They've broken it, and then they've rebroken it. And like everything that they do, when prices start coming up, they throw more tax dollars at it, and they're like, oh, wow, it's surprise, surprise. There's an inflationary effect.
Smug, do you think the Republicans have done a good enough job in explaining their position here?
When it comes to the healthcare situation?
The healthcare situation which led to the shutdown. They're saying that's the reason.
I think it's very clear. I mean, this morning when I was watching Fox and Friends, they were talking to the audience. The audience understands that the Democrats are responsible. This is a Schumer shutdown. But for the Democrats to try to make this about a healthcare thing, listen, you guys passed what you called the Affordable Care Act. We warned you it wasn't affordable. You passed it anyways. Now we're living with the results of that, and the blame needs to go to the Democrats for what they've done.
So we have this stat from the Media Research Center. In terms of this shutdown, in terms of what the news, the mainstream news is covering, if they looked at ABC, all the major networks and CNN, MSNBC, statements favoring Democrats, 83. Statements favoring Republicans, 12.
Incredible.
Come on.
Just not surprising.
Do you know that the 93%, they also did this great study. They looked at the late night shows and say, how many people have taken shots at Mandami? I mean, there's so many things you can do and have fun with, and even with respect. Yeah. Do you know that 93% of the late night references on their monologues were against Mandami's opponents?
Yep.
I mean, come on. This guy's a avowed socialist from Uganda whose mom says he's more of an Indian Ugandan than he is an American.
It's unbelievable.
Right? His dad thinks we're all colonists, right?
Well, his dad even said that he sympathizes with suicide bombers. And then this guy still gets elected. The fact of the matter is, the first job this kid has ever had is mayor of New York. And that's a serious job. And I feel bad for the people living in New York City because he's not up to the task.
I don't want to correct you guys on air, but I have to for our audience. His first job was camp counselor. I'm being serious. He was a camp counselor. That was his first job. Then he became an assemblyman. And then it's the job in New York. That's the resume that the New Yorkers wanted.
I didn't know that. Camp counselor? Yeah, that certainly prepares you to run the largest city in the world, no question about it.
We're about to find out. So the shutdown, the story today is that Jeanine Shaheen, Mark Peters, and others got together and they were ready to, after the election, which went their way, they were going to cross the aisle and just vote for the continuing resolution with a new end date and work on, get some type of commitments. And they were stopped because the election went their way, and they say the shutdown's working for us. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've shown that they're willing to try to leverage every bit out of the American people, no matter what the pain, right? I mean, they've said that they are, if it works politically, it doesn't matter whether you can pay for your groceries or your health insurance as long as they're the beneficiary of the politics of it. And that is the leadership of the Democratic Party right now. It's an absolutely vacant, hollow ideology that, unfortunately, as you mentioned, the media is not covering like it should.
I thought it would be pretty cool, and to impress you with our list of sound bites, I thought I'd go to Jamie Dimon.
Yeah.
He was on another network, but he basically said Mandami is not really a socialist. And I go, here we go. He's a Marxist. And he said, just listen to him. Yeah. He will tell you. And he said, I reached out to him once and we exchanged messages. I'll meet with him, and if it doesn't go well, if I don't think I'm going to bail out. But he just put together a $20 billion building right by Grand Central, so I don't know where he's going. Here's what he said has already happened in New York. Cut 16.
First of all, people have left New York City. You've seen hedge funds and certain banks and Ken Griffin, and I think it's a bad idea. I mean, you want to have a very competitive city, and I don't want to use labels. The important thing to me is policies that actually work. Do you make crime better? Do you make the schools better? Do you make the health system better? I want to lift up all citizens, too. I've seen a lot of mayors and governors say things like that, and they fail to do it because their policies may not be so bad, but the implementation stinks. So to me, is get this stuff right. Learn. He's a young man. Will he get good at it? I see a lot of people in big jobs, including political jobs, they grow into it. They're learning. They're trusting people. They're figuring it out. They'll make mistakes. They adjust. I've seen a lot of people, they kind of swell into the job. They get worse. It all becomes about them or something like that. Ego. I'm hoping he's the good one. And that will be important for the future of New York.
Smug?
Yeah, well, so Jamie Dimon has had a great history of partnering with the U.S. government, really trying to work through issues You saw it in 2008.
He talks to Trump all the time.
He talks to Trump all the time. He wants the best for the country. He wants the best for that city. He's got 50,000 employees in New York City. I hope his optimism is well grounded, but I don't expect the best from New York City with Mamdani.
Yeah, it reminds me of that old saying, hope in one hand, do something else in the other. We'll see what fills up first.
So, so he said if he shows potential and shows an openness, but I think on some level, he wants these guys to leave. Because if you don't believe in capitalism, you think capitalism is the problem, you look to the bankers as the problem. But when you do find out how your city's run, it's by successful people giving up. If you take the city and state and federal taxes, over 50% of their success is written off to all those places. And they're the bad guys?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, I mean, just find me a Democrat any time in the last 20 years where the learning process conveys policies that actually make sense.
Right.
If you can find one, I'm willing to be optimistic about it. I haven't been able to. And I saw it up close for a lot of years. The ideology, the energy in a grassroots that has absolutely no connection to the economy whatsoever has always driven what their policy prescriptions are.
All right, and lastly, you remember and you lived through the Tea Party, the rise of the Tea Party, and the candidates that came in and were primaried and got rid of a lot of establishment. You were with the establishment as chief of staff with Mitch McConnell. So now this is what's happening on the left. But on the right, first off, how would you characterize, how galvanized are they on the right?
In terms of just...
Are they on the same page?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Republicans are remarkably...
Very few anti-Trumpers these days.
It's remarkably unified. I think the whole anti-Trump movement just became Democrats, basically, right? I mean, but on the left, it's very interesting. I mean, the way that we handled it in the early 2010s with all these primaries and everything else is that you had a responsibility to govern, and we talked about that very specifically, didn't apologize for it at all, and knew people were going to come at you, but you had a responsibility to answer that forcefully with your perspective. You see the exact opposite out of Chuck Schumer. Instead of doing the responsible thing, he knows better than to shut the government down. He knows the pain that that's going to cause, but he is more concerned about his politically left flank than he is about the health and well-being of the American people. That's a hell of a thing.
I think the Democrats are in a terrible place. They can't decide who's the leader of the party. Hakeem Jeffries is not in control. Chuck Schumer is not in control. Gavin thinks it could be him, but everyone's just talking about Mamdani.
See, everyone keeps saying Trump's not on the ballot. He wasn't in the off-year elections, a few teleconferences. But he's going to take the midterms like he's on the ballot. He's even talking about doing a convention leading up to the midterms in the summer.
I think that's a great idea.
Again, so to get momentum. So he's going to put himself everywhere, and he's going to make it his agenda. And I think that that's the mistake. People keep saying he's not on the ballot. Get over it. Not yet. I agree. Third year, it's pretty much all going to be at the primaries. I don't agree now.
No, I agree.
Because people understand what happens to an agenda. It becomes impeachment city.
Exactly.
So that's just it. And it's so agonizing either side. The Clinton stuff boomeranged on the Republicans. And I think the other stuff, when they after him in Ukraine, his ratings went up afterwards. It's not going to stop him, I think, from if they get the House. And I think it's still a coin flip. From going after him and just trying to do investigations on Venezuela
100%.
And ships and everything.
Well, that's the thing that President Trump and his team understand is that their first term was short-circuited by all of this, right? The midterm in 2018 turned into constant investigations, impeachments, all of this. The ability to execute an agenda is nearly impossible. That's why he's all in.
Quick question, as we're with Josh and Smug. The Ruthless podcast, what it's become, tell everyone how it started, and tell me what you thought about when you started getting some success and momentum. Smug, you want to start?
Well, it started during COVID. I mean, we had lockdowns going on, but we wanted to still hang out, so we would get on Zoom, we'd pour a couple
You're all
bourbons,
friends.
all of us friends, and we'd bet on the ponies because that was still open. And we said, you know what? We're having a good time with this. This could be a show.
We literally just, at the end of every day, we'd get on a Zoom call, pour a glass of bourbon, and bet on some horses because it was the only sporting event that was on television, and we would just talk. And at some point, it would dawn
I don't even
on
remember
us.
that. Are you guys bettors were you betting on horses anyway?
Not really.
I was like, who would think to do that?
It's a COVID hobby. It's the only sport that's open.
That's literally what it was. And then, we started this thing, and I think initially it was basically a road test to see, how this whole thing works. And we weren't experts by any stretch of the imagination. But we started getting some listeners. It started with a niche audience of political operatives and people on Capitol Hill and things like that, where we thought the whole niche in the marketplace was nobody was laughing about anything. And in that era, really nobody was laughing about stuff. So we wanted to tell some jokes, try to lighten it up. Turns out, other people wanted to do that.
Wow.
It ended up working out.
And it is. And Smug, you still like each other?
Oh, could not be better friends. I mean, the thing is We can go, we can visit our friends in Congress. Every member of Congress listens to our show. We go across this country, we meet our fans, we take photos. It's incredible. It's a great community.
Well, you deserve it.
It's a very different line of work.
It's a great show. Using your expertise on air and having a great time. And you got a chance to really get to know me, which is really you can't overstate.
Well, that was the best part of it.
Yeah. That's what some say. Yeah. Some are saying. Guys, great to see you. Look up the Ruthless podcast. Get it everywhere. Watch it on YouTube.
Thanks so much.
Back in a moment.
Appreciate
Great to see you guys.
I think the lesson for the president is that it's not enough to diagnose the crisis in working class Americans' lives. You have to deliver on addressing that crisis. This is a president who ran a campaign on the promise of cheaper groceries, and now, as was said by one of our co-chairs, has gone so far as to cut SNAP benefits for close to 2 million New Yorkers. Someone who is literally making it harder to afford those same groceries whose price he was decrying not that long ago. And what scares Republicans across the country is the fact that we will actually deliver on this agenda. And the contrast is something that they cannot bear to witness.
Well, that's wishful thinking. It's so interesting that the president, Carley Shimkus, could learn from Mandami. So maybe I can play that clip for him if he has a chance to learn. He says you shouldn't promise things you can't deliver on. He's got the job 9 months. Already prices are coming down, but not all around. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if President Trump's going to learn anything from a 34-year-old who has had one assemblyman position and has now been elevated to the mayoral position of the capitalist, the biggest capitalist country and greatest city in the country. But here we are. And we knew this was going to happen. I mean, the polling shows that this was what was going to come down, and it has. And now we have to live with the consequences. And we're already seeing them transpire with police officers are already saying that they're going to leave, and other cities courting police, really worried about
Houston.
the safety. Yeah, and he wants to do free buses, which means, I mean, those places are going to become homeless shelters, and there's a lot of concerns, and it's going to all unfold starting in January.
So I want you to hear what Speaker Johnson said. Cut 13.
Zoran Mandami is without a doubt the biggest win for socialism in the history of the country, and it is the biggest loss for the American people. He is truly a committed Marxist. And the results of that race tell you everything you need to know about where the Democrats and their party are headed.
And I think they know it. Don't you think that's why Senator Schumer doesn't say anything
100%.
even after the win?
100%. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I guess one of the big narratives to come out of this off-year election is that it was a big night for Democrats, and it was. I mean, the New Jersey race the polls showed that it was supposed to be much closer than it is. Virginia, we pretty much knew that was going to happen, and then Mamdani in New York. But is it really long-term a big night for Democrats when now they have to... There's a socialist as a mayor in New York under the Democratic Party. So now the whole Democratic Party has to answer for that. I mean, they have to answer for what could be an epic failure. And we're talking not just financially. I mean, there could be real loss of life here, too, with his, wanting to do this community safety where there's healthcare workers that are going to be responding to crimes. I mean, how's that going to go?
See, I remember when the president had his first 100 days and people were saying not successful. Guys, there's nothing about Trump that's built for 100 days. Because most of the stuff he had to put into play, he didn't even put together the big, beautiful bill.
Is this the first term?
Yeah, in the first term. No, this year, when he had his first 100 days, the people were like, well, his ratings are going down. Watch what he's done in the Palestinian situation, what he's done with the Gulf states, the international business deals they've done to bring things back, the trade, which is very much
the border being shut down.
The border being shut down. So things are getting better. I mean, now they say prices got to come down. All right, if that's your issue, all I'm going to say is you haven't seen them play because the bill has not been enacted. The tax cuts, the no tax on tips, bringing back, in terms of energy, there's no way the price of energy isn't going to go down. Right. We have so much energy now, we're refilling the emergency fund.
The Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Much better, the Strategic Oil Reserve, which was emptied as artificially Joe Biden cut a deal with Venezuela in order not to drill, and then he sucked it out of our emergency fund.
To do well during the midterm elections. So
right.
That was a midterm election move. It sure did. You know what? I've been thinking about this. So a lot of people are saying that, and this is something that President Trump talked to Brett Baer about yesterday, about, this is because Mamdani talked about affordability, and that's what Democrats are doing. They're honing in on this message of affordability. I really don't think that that's what this was. I think that this was a mayoral race with horrible candidates all around. And then you have Zoran Mamdani, who is young. He got a lot of energy out of Twitter, and there's a lot of young New Yorkers who are just going to vote for the young guy that's promising a lot and flashy and was a former rapper. That's really, I mean, he got the youth vote out. I don't think it has to do a lot with the message of affordability. I think it was just really bad candidate choices.
Fun fact, I never lived in the city. I've been going to the city since I was like, whatever I can remember. You live in the city.
Yes, I do.
So the perception has never been, it's always, oh, I can't afford to live in the city. I remember in the 20s, almost none of my friends even had parents that would supplement them to live in the city.
Right.
So you're at a different point in your career, you got a great job, but coming out of college, did you think I have enough to go live in the city?
Absolutely not, and you don't.
So do you think that's Trump's fault? That you're not now, this generation, in your 20s?
Yeah, and you really can't live in the city without help.
You go to Astoria,
exactly.
You go to Queens, you go to Long Island City.
Right. So something else that Mandami talks about a lot is he's not just talking about taxing billionaires, increasing taxes on billionaires. He's talking about increasing taxes on millionaires, which so far, since I believe it's been over the course of 10 years, 30% fewer millionaires live in New York City, which means that the tax base that they would have been putting into New York City has decreased exponentially. That's going to happen even more. And when you're talking about millionaires, that is a lot of money. But in New York City, it doesn't go that far, right? But those are people who are employing people. If they leave, so will the people that they're employing, and there's going to be a lot fewer. You're already seeing it. You're seeing people that are already saying, I'm out of here. I was talking to a real estate agent recently.
Well, you heard the fire commissioner quit.
Yep, he quit. He quit yesterday. He's out in December, and then they're...
well, tell your personal story. I just wanted people to know.
Well, yeah. I was thinking about switching apartments, moving to another one, and he was like, do you want to buy in New York City? And I said, absolutely not. I just don't want to buy in New York. And he said, is it because of the mayoral race? This was a couple months ago. I was like, no, I just don't want to get tied down. And he said, okay. I was like, interesting. What are you hearing? He's like, no one's buying in New York right now because of that. Everybody's afraid. He's seeing it firsthand. So I had a real estate expert on the other day on radio, and he told me that the whole thing about freezing rents, the reason why there are empty apartments in New York City already because of rent restrictions, because they say it is easier for us to keep it empty than deal with a tenant that I'm going to have to maintenance that apartment or have an unhappiness or get sued, so we're leaving it empty. I go, how many? He goes, over 100,000. Empty. Now, he says if you freeze the rents, business people take out loans to pay back those loans. Their business plan says our building's going to be filled up. Everybody finances. Even if you have the cash, they finance. Now the banks are on the hook with the buildings. While you freeze the rents, you cut the revenue. People walk away. Exactly. So why don't, and I am not an economic major or genius, but just logical. Mm-hmm. My hope was he was going to sit down with the accountants, economics people, and go, oh yeah, you can't do that. Just like when Donald Trump says, no more Middle East wars, and all right. But then every once in a while, Iran tries to get a nuclear weapon. Right. And they're in the Middle East. Yes. What are you going to do? I know. Are you going to say, well, I promise, but then it becomes reality when you're in the Oval Office, when it comes reality that he's in City Hall. Yeah, and then you have to ask yourself, so Mandami, relatively unknown, does he really believe what he's saying? And I think he does. He does. I think that absolutely. He really, really believes he's a total ideologue. It's not just a fake and phony act, although he has fake and phony in other ways. So I think he will. I don't think he's going to moderate any of his positions. Another one is he wants to decriminalize prostitution. Yeah, he won't want. Why would you ever want to decriminalize prostitution? I mean, the message that sends to young girls. It's okay, sure, go ahead. That's so. I mean, and that is a safety issue as well. Right. Absolutely. No wonder you're not buying in the city. So leave her alone. She's going to move to Long Island. Well, I was just having that conversation with my husband. Well, tell him I'm all for it. We're honing in on neighborhoods. I will get you the best realtor and at least look around. Okay. That's all I ask. Okay. Because we're from Long Island University. Yes. Final thought about the Patriot Awards? I look forward to this every year. It's one of my favorite things that Fox does because so many other award shows, all of them, they highlight the people who play the heroes on TV. Right. We highlight the real heroes. And the stories that come out of this, they're always creative. I think this is going to be, and I'm not just saying this, the best, most impactful award show that Fox has ever put on. And it's an honor to be here. Just promise me tonight you'll stay within yourself, no matter what happens. I can't promise that because I'm so excited. I will stay within myself and then explode outwards as well. Is that good enough, Eric? I think it is. Back in a moment. Thanks, Carley Shimkus.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're wondering why it sounds a little bit louder than usual, we're lucky enough to be in the pregame show. That is Ainsley Earhardt. I'm very unprofessionally interrupting me while I welcome everybody back along with Lawrence Jones. We're at the Patriot Awards at Long Island University. Have you had a chance to see my school? I mean, Ainsley, have you? This is your second year doing this.
It is a beautiful school.
It is a pretty school.
Did you have a chance to go around?
Yeah, we love that monument of you when you first drive in. We love the trophy room and all the pictures.
Well, I am in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
I know.
Really?
I know.
Yeah, I am.
You're very celebrated here.
Right.
And you're going to give us tours afterwards.
Right.
So here's something else I just realized. My brother got the contract to do the soccer fields here. He does turf.
Right.
So he's building 2 more fields in this area.
Oh, that's incredible.
This is how crazy the world is. They will not allow Post, which is now Long Island University, to host a game unless they're on artificial turf.
Really?
Because they're afraid of weather affecting the game, and they never cancel things unless it's horrific.
What is it like to play on turf? Is it harder?
It's much better than the AstroTurf. There's a cushion built into it.
You can manage it, too.
Yeah, you can manage it. I mean, it feels like grass, but it's very practical because you could plow it and play in any weather. Football players play in any weather, but it's much better to play.
Gosh, that helps your brother's business then, too.
Right.
He should do all the fields across the country.
Wouldn't that be a good idea?
Yes.
Call A-Turf and find out.
Yes.
Made in America.
So what is your sense of, this is our 7th Patriot Awards, Ainsley. What do you think?
I love it because growing up, we all used to watch the Grammys and the Oscars and see what the celebrities were saying and what they were wearing. Well, now they've gotten so liberal and so woke. I don't even watch anymore, and I really don't know half of the crowd anymore. I don't know all the celebrities anymore.
Even the movie people don't know the movies.
Right.
I mean,
I
they're
know,
so esoteric.
I know. And so I love the Patriot Awards because these are people that they're not making millions in Hollywood. Movies aren't being made about them, but we hear their stories. We find out how they are heroes, how they're patriots, how they love country, family, faith, and we're able to give them awards.
Right. Lawrence, what are we going to be doing today? You went to rehearsal.
We're going to be, I don't know if we can announce the award, but first responders, that's going to be our award. But you know what I like about this is, Ainsley and I, we were talking about this the other day, it's been so much negativity. I'm over the negativity, and we have to cover it because it's news value. So now I'm glad we got something to smile about.
Amen.
You know, it's just been so thick with the assassination and, you know, some of the news coming out there, crashes and all that.
Mandami.
That is depressing.
Yeah.
So we need something, some light, and I think tonight will be there.
I love that.
You know what I can't get over? That these moderate Democrats were ready to end the shutdown. All the people not getting paid, the flights that have all been canceled. I know weather was related to Sean getting here last night, but if I was on a commercial airline, I would not be confident I would get anywhere.
Way.
So listen to Senator Fetterman, cut 24.
This thing it would expire on the 21st, and now here that's so I'm not sure, but I just want to remind everybody. You know, we are waiting on five of our colleagues to reopen this government, and this was a Biden CR. You know, this isn't a very partisan CR. Actually, you know, we've all voted on this many times to ratify it.
So, and he went on to say, blank, his party is screwing everything up, and I just thought they made their statement. Do you think they benefited from the shutdown, Lawrence?
100% they benefited. And I don't understand it because when you look at it, it's just clear. There's no ambiguity. They're responsible for it. They refuse to vote for it. But I think I said this morning on air. I feel like it's demented. I think it's evil to cause pain on people.
Now, especially.
Just for political purposes when you know. I mean, we're talking about air travel now.
Right. So
well, sorry, Brian, but remember they admitted that this was just leverage. Right. This was all the leverage they had. So we've heard that from a few Democrats. We know what's happening behind the scenes. They're saying, let's run with this. We don't have anything else. We don't have the House. We don't have the Senate. We don't have the presidency. So this is the one way we can stick it to Donald Trump and to the Republicans. But we aired this morning the story about ABC, NBC, and CBS, all their nightly news are not covering it. And if they do, it's negative toward Republicans. What was it? It was like 80-something% of their stories was bashing Republicans for allegedly causing the shutdown.
So yesterday they had that tariff argument. I won't bore people. Like Supreme Court, I find it fascinating when we hear the audio. But basically they were saying that Justice Amy Coney Barrett, as well as Justice Gorsuch.
John Roberts, too.
John Roberts. Extremely skeptical about the presidential power when it comes to tariffs, but all agreeing Amy Coney Barrett said this to the plaintiff, said, you know, how do we do this? How do you pay people back? And they all agree, it will be a mess.
You know, it's interesting because it's typically not a question that a justice would propose, and she's one of the most, significant legal minds of this time. They normally don't think about the implications of it. They think about what the law says. But it is true. It's going to open up a Pandora's box if we get rid of it.
So, Amy, do you remember when John Roberts basically gave a soft landing to Obamacare? They were debating whether it's going to be constitutional, but one of the reasons why he did that is healthcare becomes an abomination if I cancel it. So he did play politics, but he didn't do it for the conservative movement. He did it because I don't want to be responsible for everyone losing this healthcare plan.
Right.
And I'm wondering, why don't they feel the same responsibility here? Maybe they will in the end.
Well, they're all going to interpret the law differently, but if the tariffs are working, how else are we supposed to force another country to do what we want them to do without doing something like putting boots on the ground or nuclear attacks, anything like that? How are we supposed to do that? Tariffs that's our leverage as a country.
Well, also, I would equate it to taking the authority of the president when it comes to military action. The president is using tariffs now as a defensive tool.
Correct.
And so just imagine telling the president that he can't use his arsenal, that he has to go to Congress every single time. Now, of course, Congress does declare war. I get that in the later set. But you can't say that the president has not used it in a defensive posture against China. Look about the international conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Look at what happened with Israel as well as the Palestinians as well. He used tariffs as a result of India as well.
And incentives. But overall, the reason why he did what he did in April, he said in the 80s, America's being ripped off internationally because we're a behemoth and a great economy. We're okay with trade imbalances. He said, no.
It's not
First
fair.
it was Japan.
It's not fair.
Now it's China.
I will say this, Brian, just for some context of the audience. If the Supreme Court rules against this, that doesn't mean that tariffs are over. They're only ruling against one statute. So the president, in theory, could use another statute to while he's using the tariff. But it does make things more complicated.
The problem is the courts are tying up so much that he could be doing that could
So
benefit Americans.
He wants to blow up the filibuster. I don't think he should. What do you think, Ainsley?
That's a tough one. I was watching over the weekend, yesterday, because I wasn't at work yesterday. My daughter had something at school. I was watching last night the panels and how they were asking them. That's tough, because this is my fear, that if they do abolish the filibuster, how is that going to affect us as Republicans or as conservatives in the next election? And let's say the Democrats take over, then they're going to use it to pack the court.
I don't know. It depends on every day you ask me. Sometimes I feel like we should not take the bait on this.
I agree.
And then sometimes I feel like, you know what? They're going to get rid of it anyway.
I could probably name 20 Republicans that aren't going to sign on to
Yeah.
it. Democrats only had Joe Manchin and Kristen
But then
Silver.
there's the other argument, having the majority.
Right.
You know?
Hey, did you enjoy being on here
We
in the
loved it.
lobby of the
Yes.
Patriot Awards?
You got me 2 days this week.
It's unbelievable. What a thrill.
But the communists, Marxists, socialists, and globalists had their chance, and they delivered nothing but disaster. And now let's see how a communist does in New York. We're going to see how that works out. And we'll help them. We'll help them. We want New York to be successful. We'll help them a little bit, maybe.
I doubt it. That is the President of the United States yesterday in Miami, giving a speech to the most powerful people in the world about our economic future. And a lot of people are talking about how the cost of living is. But those guys don't have to worry about that. But they are in charge of a lot and do want to help out. Jimmy Failla joins us now. Not a communist, not a Marxist.
Hey.
Jimmy, how would you characterize your economic principles?
I mean, listen, I spent in my 20s probably 90% of my salary on adult dancers and blackjack.
Right.
The rest of it I wasted completely.
Right.
Okay. That money well spent.
Right.
Good to see you. Nice to be here
Absolutely.
at the Patriot Awards.
Should we just bring up, and I'm not being sarcastic or facetious, or I'm not exaggerating, this guy wants to legalize prostitution. He couldn't answer the question, do you want to legalize prostitution? He's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, listen, somebody's got to get the Elliot Spitzer endorsement.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
All of these politicians require a different level of outreach.
But he was sneaking around.
Yes.
Right? This guy says, no, I'd like to let these people get paid.
But what's interesting
So we
about
can tax them?
Yeah,
What's the point?
that doesn't end good. I mean, it's not good. There's no dignity in that. And if you've ever been to AOC's district, you'd assume it's already legal. Okay,
Right.
have you ever read the reporting in the New York Post about how AOC's district is called the Boulevard of Sweethearts? And I do want to say some of these women are charging way too much. Like, I should be getting some type
People
of
have
repeat.
told you.
Yeah, that's from what I've told in my research. They should have some kind of a punch card or something.
Right. See, also it's a goal.
Yeah.
You want to get to that card to get to the free slot.
But make no mistake about it, once Mamdani won, okay, you got the demo, but then you got the real thing. That acceptance speech the other night was, very evocative of Trump's inauguration. You know how he was doing, like, we're doing it my way now? Mamdani did do that. I mean, he looked a lot more like Mamdani, the Twitter feed, than Mamdani, the candidate. Did he not?
I thought he was kind of a fun guy on TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So I thought it was relative. And then talking to people like Martha McCallum and saying, do you want me to apologize to cops? I'll apologize to cops. It wasn't the same guy.
No.
And you see that Van Jones and David Axelrod said the same thing you just said. Man, that's not the right tone. You had a chance to unify.
Now, do you feel duped as someone who voted for him? Are you...
Jimmy, can I tell you anything in private and have you not bring it up?
But I bring it up. But I bring it up about duped because I don't know.
We can't vote for him. Do you live in the city?
No, it's Strong Island.
Okay.
Although, the way my night went last night, Jenny might be throwing me out. I might be going to the city. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. What I was going to tell you is the Mamdani thing. I don't know if you saw this. He had a cash bar at his victory party.
Wow.
So everybody who thinks they're getting like 4 years of free stuff showed up, and it was a $22 Red Bull and vodka.
Wow.
Like, I actually have, because someone responded to one of my tweets
How did
about
you know
it.
that?
With
Alexis
the actual,
said?
I have real researchers. Okay,
Really?
I knew
Name
somebody.
one.
This is really funny. Okay, because I am the furthest thing from a journal. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're Fox News. I'm like Samantha Fox News. You know what I mean? I'm a totally different stratosphere.
Who, by the way, runs Laura Ingraham.
Does she ever? Okay. Yeah, there was a Sam Fox.
Yes.
She doesn't have the same British accent, though. It's not the same. It's not the same one. Okay, but stick with me. Okay. I literally ran into a reporter friend yesterday who just told me, I'm like, wow, you sound worse than me. He's like, yeah, I was at the Mamdani victory celebration. It was so loud. And somehow a journalism light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, by the way, do they have a cash bar? And he goes, yeah, they charged us for everything. And it was expensive. So I ran with that. I'm like, I got a scoop here. I tweeted it. And then someone jumped onto Community Noted me on Twitter and grokked it and said, yeah, it was true. And they actually gave us the menu for drinks. Like it was all champagne and high-end cocktails. Yeah, I was scooped.
Did you say grokked it?
Yeah,
what do
you know,
mean
grok meaning the AI on
Twitter.
Twitter.
I know. But in other words, if they want to make sure it's true, Community Notes says this guy might be lying.
Yeah, you can say grok, is this true?
Right.
And then grok will come back with TV super hunk Jimmy Failla was telling the truth
Right.
when he said.
I don't think super hunk that doesn't sound accurate.
Some go with heartthrob.
Okay, you're right.
Meaning my heart is throbbing just from standing here. I'm not out of shape.
Well, how about this? Do you believe that Elon Musk personally okayed that?
No.
You don't think he's personally
No, I
doing
believe somebody who had their hand on the menu probably fed it, or a previous post had found it online. But the point is, it's a scam.
It is. So we have a situation where this guy is going to come into power, and right away, we're back to woke. He says, for the first time, our transition team will be all women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were out of that.
Yeah, me too. And that's another concern, is that everybody he's aligned
Me too.
himself. There it is. You got to keep up with this guy. Kilmeade. Come on, man. The guy's fast. He doesn't even know he's spitting them out. That's how many of them he's got. He's just dropping them.
See, some of your funniest stuff, you're unaware you're
don't even know it. But stick with me. Because he is kind of going backwards to a pre-2024 playbook in a lot of ways. And I think that's what his win represents, to a lesser extent, maybe Spanberger and even Mikey Sherrill, is the Democrats have not abandoned anything that cost them the 2024 election. You know, they're still trying to outsource it to some type of discrimination or bigotry, but policy-wise, there's been no pivot, man.
Well, Spanberger or Mikey Sherrill would not comment on, do you think that you should let a trans man go into a locker room? Didn't we? That ship has sailed.
It is so bananas. But, I mean, really think about that as a policy. 10 years ago, if you had a young daughter and there was a grown man in the women's room, they were trained to go get an authority figure. There was no elected official being like, hey, chill out, ladies.
Right.
So, yeah, that's bananas. And I don't think the country is clearly on board with it. We know it's an 80-20 issue, maybe a 90-10, but it doesn't mean they're going to walk away from it, because in a lot of instances, like, that ideology to them it's a longer game. Maybe it cost them 2024, but maybe they can beat up on enough people and kind of social pressure them into supporting it in 2028. You know, I don't know.
So the New York City election fears have driven $100 million to Florida real estate. They have a $100 million Florida real estate surge since the election.
But that's just Hannity's house.
I know.
Let's back up here.
Well,
They overstate this stuff.
Well, he said, I think the election accelerated how many people make decisions. I think people are nervous of what's coming, how it's going to affect their lifestyle. The other thing is people that can even afford it are ticked off.
Yeah.
Because rich people didn't get rich by throwing money out the window.
Amen. When you see a government it's the richest government in the world, and it's $37 trillion in debt. We live as a country like that NBA player, that got the $100 million contract, and you see him on the Daily Mail 3 years later, you're like, look who's broke.
Yeah.
We actually live like that guy. And that's the problem with Mamdani, is the people who voted for him are the ones who can afford to leave. It's what they leave behind for the people who can't leave, whose jobs are not portable, that actually get the bill for this.
You have to stay. You realize that.
I'm here. You know what I mean? That's the TV, the modeling. Let's not, a before model. But the point is, it's lucrative. It's lucrative, but I'll be here.
Dave Portnoy came out and said, if this is what the people of New York City want, then so be it. Thank God I don't live there anymore.
Which is the Ivan Drago equivalent of if he dies, he dies. Like New York's we're gonna go through a pocket right now.
Can I just build on that?
Yeah.
Do you hear that Rocky IV is going back into theaters with the director's cut?
No.
So it looks like Stallone went back and re-edited a little bit.
Stomp it.
Now you have another date night coming your way. Is there anything more romantic?
The
Rocky
romance.
IV, grab my hand. We're going. Jimmy, thanks so much for stopping by.
You're the best.
All right.
It's an honor to class up this show.
Really? Now, if you class up the show, I just got that. How dare you?
We're not going to make quick decisions about New York, not New York right now. New York has some great things going for it, as you know, like the human capital, the brain power, the financial industry. So it's a center for us. But my question would be really saying is, New York has to compete. No city has divine right to success. There are great cities everywhere. We now have more people in Texas than we have in New York. That didn't have to be that way. And so, if I was any mayor of any city, I'd be thinking about what do I need to do to build a great city to help all of my citizens, and all the things that create good competition.
J.P. Morgan Chase Chairman, CEO Jamie Dimon, speaking yesterday on the impact of Zohran Mamdani's win. And, of course, he has a building about 2 blocks from Fox headquarters. It is a mammoth building, billions of dollars of investment. It's hard to believe that he would be able to leave even if he wanted to. Will Cain, you did leave before the election. Thanks so much for joining us.
What's up?
Did you know that more J.P. Morgan Chase employees in Texas
than
in New York City?
I did. And I knew that fact. And last night driving through the streets of New York was the first time I saw that new building in New York City.
Is it unbelievable?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to think that
huge rocks at the bottom.
And to think they built that, and yet they still have more employees in Texas than in New York. And they're not alone. Goldman Sachs is putting a huge office in New York. They'll have more employees. In Texas, they'll have more employees in Dallas than they have in New York. And I've heard rumors there's some other ones. Big ones coming to Dallas.
So the first thing I would do as mayor is meet with all these guys and say, listen, what do I need to stay? These are my philosophies. How do we work together? But so far, Jamie Dimon says, I haven't heard much. I was invited to one meeting. I was out of the country. I haven't heard anything since. What does that tell you about how you think he might govern?
Well, what we know so far is two things about Zohran Mamdani and how he'll govern. Number one is what he said. You have to take that the most seriously. What he said and what his philosophy is and his ideology. The guy is a self-avowed Democrat socialist. He quotes Eugene Debs, as you pointed out, I think this morning on Fox and Friends, who was a famous socialist, ran for president 5 times on the socialist ticket in the 1920s in America, and who he staffed himself with around on his transition team and the people that contributed to his election. And the people that he's already staffed on his transition team, there's a lot of de Blasio holdovers. And here's the thing. As much as we talk about Mamdani, de Blasio was a communist. That's also not a controversial...
Change his name, change everything.
Exactly. Didn't he honeymoon in Cuba or Soviet Union or one of these
Bernie
places?
Sanders did in Russia, the Soviet Union.
Right. So the de Blasio continuation is a part of what we'll see with Mamdani. And I lived in New York during the de Blasio years. It was a mess. He was a mess. The city was a mess.
It was hard to break New York because Giuliani and then Giuliani twice and then 3 terms of Bloomberg, who, even if you don't agree with him on the big gulps or whatever and she limits size, guy was unbelievably competent. And I also heard that he took money out of his pocket a lot and just fixed things. Just like fixed it. You don't do that job to be rich. You do it as service. And he set up almost a school for mayors where he brings them through the X's and O's and how to do it. This guy's not interested in even doing that.
Bloomberg's interesting because, I complained as well about the big gulps and the micromanagement of life. But if you are going to have a leader that micromanages life in some way, it's best done at the city level, not at the state, not at the national level. And he was competent, to your point. You're going to have now incompetence in there. I think you had incompetence with de Blasio. We'll see with Mamdani. We have an ideological guy. Will we have competence to go along with it? Meaning, can he actually make the trains run on time? Can he clean up the subway? Is he interested in cleaning up the subway? Is he interested in keeping safe streets and so forth? But what I'm going towards with the Bloomberg thing is you don't have to. To bring this full circle back to, all of this business moving to Texas and notably Dallas, that is not how that city is run. That is not how that state is run. It is a minimal impact on life government, and it flourishes. It's a clean, easy, nice, great city.
Now, Florida's almost stopped recruiting at this point. Has Texas?
Well, I think we should.
Right.
I really do.
Because you're getting everyone's, a lot of people that don't want to come over there and be capitalists.
I'm highly concerned about cultural shift. Highly concerned about the thing that may, and okay, let's talk about Texas, but let's also, for everyone listening, understand we're also talking about America. So this is one and the same.
Yeah.
What am I worried about with Texas? There are things that made it great, and most of what made it great is a culture. And it's that culture was bred over time, like over 150 years with the people that first came to Texas. That spirit, that risk tolerance, that pushing the edge, that frontiersmanship.
America wasn't new enough. They went to Texas for something new.
And they were edgy people.
Yeah.
They weren't safe, rich, happy people. They were like, I need something better, and I'm going to go fight the Comanches
Some
in order
were running
to get
from
it.
the law.
Some ran from the law. But they built a culture that has sustained over time. If you bring people in that don't buy into that culture, even if you buy into the politics, it does highly concern me. Let's bring that back over to America. President Trump says, let's bring the best and the brightest. Well, I like that to a degree, but I want to preserve American culture. As much as I want us to be a transactional corporation that works great and everybody makes a good living, more than that, I want the culture that got us here over time, and I want to preserve that. And for me, that's not just a conversation about illegal immigration. That's a conversation about legal immigration. That's a conversation about H-1B visas. That's a conversation about assimilation. And I think those are – actually, Brian, I think that's the most important thing that should be focused on in America. I think everything else is subsidiary to that. And one person that I do think shares that belief with me is the vice president.
So you want people that want to be Americans?
And I want them to buy into being Americans and to become Americans.
So that's why they put them through tests. Before you become an American, you get a green card. That's a nonstop test. You get a DWI with a green card. You get in a bar fight. You lost your green card. So you're on trial, number one. And number two is you're going to have to pass the test in order to do it.
But not just civics, Brian. I'm going to be blunt with you. I want you to leave behind the majority of your culture. The place that you're leaving is a product of your culture. Now you assimilate and adopt our culture. Now you bring some parts of it, and this is the part of America where we've taken from Italian, we've taken from Mexican American, we've taken from.
I mean, there's Little Italy for a reason. I mean, there is a Brazil, like that Brazil street that's right, which is a diamond district.
But that's not ideal. No. Ideal is assimilation.
Yeah.
And you come to America because you like Friday Night Football, because you like the way we go about life.
Like the Cubans did. Yeah, in that generation when Castro.
Oh, by the way, there's a ton of successful examples of this. It's not ethnically or racially tied. It's about culture. Do you buy into culture?
So let me ask you on immigration, not quite on the topic, but immigration is the headline.
Real quick on this, did you know who Jennifer Welch is? That her name? Jennifer?
Yeah. The
I don't know why she's somebody. She was a Bravo star of some type, and
she's
now
just
she's
an
a
angry
leftist. So she's the other night when Mamdani wins, she's over there on one of the networks she's on. She's got Mehdi Hassan, who is a multiculturalist that hates American culture. She's got the dude that looks like he's from the Invincibles or the Incredibles with the hair that goes up. I don't know his name.
I know who you're talking about.
And she says the problem in America is crusty white people. And that America, there's no such thing as culture. There is no American culture. And the culture of America is multiculturalism.
And she's very popular.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
That's my enemy.
What would you do with the immigrants, a lot in Texas, that have been working on farms for 20 years, working in meat packing for 20 years? What would you do with them? Do they need to be rounded up and tossed out?
Well, that's that's supposed to be a really hard question. And in some ways, it is. Like, do I personally know people that fit the description? Yeah, I do. And they're good people.
Especially if you're a soccer fan.
And they're friends. Yeah. I don't want you to narrow down my but yeah. But we also are a nation of laws. And if being a good person, Last night, I don't know if you saw this story. Defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, second-round pick a year ago, scored a touchdown on Monday night when they blocked the punt. Marshawn Nealon, he died last night. It's breaking news this morning. And everybody's like, he's such a great guy. And we don't know what happened, but there are some chatter out there that it wasn't good. And I was just talking to some guys over there. I'm like, man, everybody says he's a good guy. But being a good guy does not absolve you of having to obey the rules, obey the laws. And so you take it back to the immigration thing. And I'm sorry, we are a nation of laws. And there's a path to citizenship that is required of people. And being a good person, even somebody that I like or even that I love, does not change the necessity to follow the law.
Okay. So you're saying it's a black and white issue?
I think, okay, if it's not black and white, where is the gray line? Case by case? What are we going to do?
Well, I have a great idea. You want to know?
Yeah. You're about to solve something big.
Do you have a pen handy?
Yeah.
You want to jot this down for your show? It's okay. You have a great mind.
You have a Sharpie somewhere.
Right, somewhere. All right, ready? 15 years over with a sponsor, never get citizenship, but you basically have to register, we'll get a hold of you, and you're never going to be a citizen. But if you have somebody sponsor you in meatpacking, farming, whatever it is, you have an opportunity to stay on something like a extended work visa. For example, there are work visas where people come in seasonally and can work officially.
Yep.
I would expand that, number one, legally be a seasonal work visa. And I would also...
Seasonal, though? Because the people you're describing aren't here seasonally.
No, true. It's two separate things. I would just say the work visas to attract people because we need manual labor, it seems, almost everywhere. If you talk especially in the farming community. How would you feel about people who have been here before that have that sponsorship where you focus on the worst to worst?
15 years.
Yep.
Sponsorship.
Mm-hmm. No citizenship.
What are
you? Basically an extended work visa. And then you get on the books. You're paying taxes. You're going to have to work for a person that's going to pay you what everyone else is getting paid. And if you hire that person in order to get around the system, you're not going to sponsor that person.
How do you prove you've been here for 15 years?
I think you.
Address?
Well, that's on them, and I think you could prove it from various things that maybe how you getting paid. Is there bank records of you walking into, your favorite bank and depositing money here?
I mean, I think your idea is interesting,
because
I'd be open to it. You know what you have to do? Then you have to sit down and think about
hospitality.
Well, you got to think about all the things that we're not thinking about. You got to take them. How does that get exploited? How does that get cheated? Even beyond that, what is that net effect on America? And I'm not closed to your idea. But I'm not ready to co-sign either just yet.
What about if I was to tell you that so many people who voted for Trump in business and in the farming community are asking for that? They say, you can't gut my entire workforce. I had nobody working here. I was hired illegally, and it was really no problem. If all my guys leave, I'm done.
First of all, I don't even think we're on pace for that, Brian. Like, we're not on pace to be deporting everybody that we're describing. Like, we're having a debate about something that is theoretical. I know that the other networks will talk about it like we're deporting every single person that's in this country illegally. The numbers don't support that.
It's only been a couple of million that have left so far.
That have left, and a lot of that's self-deported.
Yeah. Over a million of self-deported. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're squeezing out anyway. Other people say, listen, I want to stay. And I think there's something to be said for that. And if you look at these industries, like with the E-Verify, you put E-Verify in, and right away you can be able to get a lot of people. Democrats lobbied to get that out because it was actually revealing who was here illegally.
Yeah.
So I just think there's got to be some type of break here. Also in Texas, I think a lot of people in Texas feel the same way.
Texas, I can tell you, Texas has changed over my lifetime.
Yeah.
It has changed dramatically. And so, yes, a lot of people are here that are good people, are working and doing valuable jobs, but is it what's... my only question is the greatest political prism of our time, does it serve America first?
Right. Does it keep our economy going? Thanks so much, Will Cain.
Right,
we'll see you on Will Cain Country and the Will Cain Show at
along
4
with the
p.m.
Ruthless variety program.
This has never
today.
been done. It's too much talent. It's too much talent. What do you should be illegal.